Hello, ladies and gentlemen. If you don't know who I am, my name is Shook. I obviously make NBA content, Prize Picks content. I made a Prize Picks video for tomorrow. Check that out. DFS, I do everything. Been playing DFS full time for a few years now, and yeah, gonna break down this monster 10-game slate. But before we do that, as always, if you ever need to get a hold of me privately, you can get a hold of me on Twitter. I'll have that link down below. And then my posts get posted on this Reddit. I'll have it linked down below. You can ask me questions about the slate leading up to lock. I'll make updates with all the news that comes out. That will be linked down below as well. And then if you ever, if you want to join my Discord where I give you guys private videos going over every single slate, player pools with cores, Prize Picks plays, all that good stuff, I'll have that linked down below. Sportsbook plays, these are all the bets that I have for tomorrow. Just monster, ton of volume down tomorrow. So yeah, without further ado, as always, I do go over my lineups every single day. I broke even today, as you can see, 24, 6, 8, 120. Lost a little bit of money, but that's fine. We'll go over all my lineups here. So I bubbled on the main slate, as you can see. Bubbled with this lineup, kind of bubbled, a couple spots out, a couple points out, sorry. And I just didn't have Jason Tatum. That was the death of me. Didn't have Tatum. This lineup, same thing, couple points out. Didn't have Jason Tatum, but I feel like I built some pretty good lineups tonight, right? My core tonight was Anthony Davis, Naz Reid, Deuce McBride, and Karl-Anthony Towns. The only bust was Karl-Anthony Towns. Oh God, best play on the slate in my opinion, just mega bust. So unfortunate, but yeah, those are my lineups tonight. Hopefully you guys had a good night. Showdown, I broke even. I thought this lineup was just so obvious. I was like, screw it, I'm just gonna play it. I'm gonna run a train with it. So I ended up making money back on the showdown. But yeah, all the plays I liked, I feel like did really well outside of Karl-Anthony Towns. Rudy Gobert smashed, AD smashed, Anthony Edwards, a little bit of a letdown game, but still did good. So hopefully you guys had a great night. Let's just hop right into this. So I'm not going to go over like who's going to be in the rotation for each team. This is a 10-game slate. We're going to try and go right through this. I'm not going to talk too much. I'm just going to tell you who I like, who I don't like. Vape hit. All right, and I apologize about the audio. I just ordered a new headset that will be here in a couple days, so the audio will be a lot better by then. So I apologize for that. All right, Indiana, Detroit. So two teams that don't play a ton of defense. Well, Indiana, they're good defensively. They're a fake good matchup, but this game should be played fast. Like Tyrese Halliburton at 9.3K, you know, he's got stuff to stat sheet, do everything. I would expect low 30s minutes here for him. Who's messaging me? Low 30s minutes here for Halliburton. I think he's a good contrarian spin up. I don't think a ton of people are going to be on him. I think people would rather play like a James Harden. So like, yeah, definitely intrigued by Halliburton here at 9.3. I'd much rather play him over like a Pascal Siakam, but of course firmly in play. I think my favorite play on this team is probably going to be like a Miles Turner at 6.9K going up against the Pistons. Good spot. I would expect over 30 minutes from him. Really good point per minute. I think 6.9K is a reasonable price point. So like, yeah, like me some Miles Turner. The only issue is center is loaded on this slate. Mathurin at 5.2 can't do that. Nembhard Smith, no thank you. I think TJ McConnell is fine for value. We don't have a ton of value on this slate right now. I would say probably play around 20 minutes. We know he's about over a point per minute player. So good point per minute guy that can stuff the stat sheet, 4.8K. I think he's a reasonable value that I don't think a lot of people will play. So I don't mind that. And then one thing I want to mention in large field GPPs is if we get Isaiah Jackson somehow out tomorrow, I actually don't mind taking shots on a 3.3K James Wiseman. In large field GPPs, he should get the backup 5 if Isaiah Jackson's out. And then if Isaiah Jackson's in, you could throw darts there as well. Just thought I mentioned that real quick. Moving on to Detroit. So Alzer Thompson is out. Cade Cunningham just there for me at 8.6. I mean, he's going to be their go-to guy. Just fine. Don't love the spot for him. Same with like Jalen Duren. I think he's just there for me. Kind. Same with like Tobias Harris. Not much stands out for me on Detroit. Although I do kind of like Ivy and GPPs. They've made an emphasis this offseason to really hype up Jaden Ivey. They want him to take a really big leap this season. So like, I think Jaden Ivey's a sneaky play tomorrow that I don't think a ton of people are going to be on. And then one of Tim Hardaway Jr. or Beasley should start. Whoever starts there would be in play for value. So like, yeah, it's gonna be Cade, Durant, Tobias, Ivy, and then yeah, one of Tim Hardaway Jr., Beasley should start. Whoever does start there would be a solid value, but you just got to know with both of them, their floors are really, really low. Moving on to Brooklyn. So Claxton, I'm not entirely sure how much he's going to be able to play in this spot. So I'd be a little bit careful there. If I knew he was full go, I would love him, but I feel like they're going to keep it easy on his minutes. Hard for me to go there. As of right now, I'll make updates if we get any quotes about his minutes, but it's going to be the Cam Thomas show. Good matchup going up against Atlanta. I really like Cam Thomas and GPPs at that price point. Dennis Schroeder, I think is fine at 6.2K, and I like Cam Johnson at 5.5K as well. And then I will mention Ben Simmons off of the bench. They also made an emphasis. They want to get Ben Simmons on the court with Dennis Schroeder together. So he should get some backup 5 runs. Like I think Simmons is fine in more of like a large field tournament setting. And then I don't think I get to much else. I think the main standouts to me are Cam Thomas, Cam Johnson, maybe like some sprinkles of Ben Simmons and large field GPPs. Moving on to Atlanta. So completely different dynamic here. No DeJounte Murray. I think Jalen Johnson looks phenomenal. Elite point per minute. He's going to have a huge role. He stuffed the stat sheet. Great rebounder. I'm not scared of Brooklyn defensively. I really like Jalen Johnson here at that price point. I think Trae Young's a really good spend up. We know when no DeJounte is on the court with him, he just has an absurd usage rate. Assist percentage, absolutely absurd. He's going to have the ball in his hands every single most possessions. So I really like both the top 2 guys here for Atlanta. Prefer Jalen Johnson to Trae Young, no point per dollar. I really like Jalen Johnson there. The bigs, they're going to split the center position. Don't love both of them. You should get Dyson Daniels starting. He's a fine value, but going to be really low usage. And then Bogey should come off the bench. I think he's probably priced right. Moving on to Cleveland. So they made an emphasis that also they want to play a lot faster this year. So I think the pace of this team is probably going to go up a little bit. We shall see though, but not much. I think Evan Mobley, I think the bigs are probably my favorite plays. Evan Mobley, nice with the power forward eligibility at 7.7K, but they did say they were going to play a ton of guys earlier in the season. So we'll see what their minutes are going to be, but I think Evan Mobley is really solid. Prefer him to Jared Allen. Then, if you want to sprinkle in like some Donovan Mitchell, Darius Garland, I think that's okay. Maybe like one of Wader or Coro starts. It's disgusting, but they'd be playable with Strus out. So yeah, let's move on to Toronto. Moving on to Toronto, RJ Barrett, Kelly Olynyk, Bruce Brown out. So Jakob Poeltl, I mean, they don't really have any. I think they're going to have to play him a decent amount of minutes here. Now, not the best matchup here going up against Cleveland, but we know he's a good point per minute guy. We know he's north of a fantasy point per minute. So I don't know, like maybe they play like Bruno, Chris Boucher, maybe, but I think Poeltl's going to have to play a decent amount here. So I think he's fine. Emmanuel Quickley and Scotty Barnes just going to lead this team in usage. I like both quite a bit, especially Emmanuel Quickley at 7.2K. I think Scotty Barnes is really good too. Triple double upside. I think he's going to have another really good year, and Quickly is just going to dominate. No RJ Barrett. These 2 guys are just going to have absurd usage rates, right? So I'm pretty high on both the top 2 guys here for Toronto, even though it's not the best matchup. And you should get Grady Dick and Ochai Agbaji getting decent amount of minutes as well. Both low floors, but both playable values. Moving on to Orlando, this is probably my least favorite team to target on the slate. Just really the 2 good defensive teams, 2 teams that don't play fast at all. So like, if I were to play anyone, I think it would be Jalen Suggs at 5.1K. They want him to be a lot more aggressive this year. Wendell Jr., I don't like much here. I think Jalen Suggs at 5.1K is actually decent value, but outside of that, I don't like much. Same with Miami. I don't like much at all here. Bam Adebayo, they want him shooting more threes, but like disgusting. It's a pretty disgusting team. Jovic at 4.1K should start. Jamie, no thank you. Pretty gross game here, guys. Moving on to the Bucks. Middleton is out. Torian Prince should start. I think Giannis is always going to be one of the best spend ups on the board, right? Definitely some blowout risk here going up against the Sixers. They're going to be without Joel Embiid. They're going to be without Paul George. But yeah, I mean, I don't see anyone stopping him here on the Sixers. I think he's one of the best spend ups on the board if you are spending all the way up. Prefer him to Damian Lillard. Brook Lopez is 6'3". No, thank you. Bobby Portis off the bench. I think he's priced right. Gary Trent, we know he is a ceiling, but how much usage is he going to have? That's the question. Low floor. Torian Prince couldn't pay me to play him. So I think that's it for Milwaukee. And then we get to my Sixers. Love this team tomorrow. No Joel Embiid. No Paul George. I love Tyrese Maxey. I love Drummond. I think Drummond's one of the best plays on the slate. Still too cheap. I absolutely love Drummond. I really like Tyrese Maxey. And I like some other pieces here. Eric Gordon should start. I like him quite a bit for value. Kelly Oubre should be the number 2 on offense. I think he's decent. He should play huge minutes here. You'll see some Caleb Martin. Definitely not going to go there. Probably get some like KJ Martin in the rotation as well. Yabusele possibly get some backup 5. Could throw some large field GPP darts on him. But I really like Maxey. I really like Drummond. I think Oubre is intriguing. I like Eric Gordon for value. So yeah, definitely like some Sixers tomorrow. Moving on to Charlotte. No Mark Williams, Nick Richards. Just plug him in. I think he's probably the best value play on the slate as it stands right now. Not an amazing point per minute guy, but he looks great. Another guy I'm intrigued here by value is Grant Williams. He should probably get the backup 5 here and backup 4 minutes. So we know last year, generally speaking, Grant Williams hasn't been the best point per minute, but last year on this Hornets team, he actually was really solid point per minute wise. Like if he gets some backup 5 and some backup 4 minutes, I do think he is intriguing. LaMelo Ball, I like quite a bit as well at 8.8K. Their go-to guys, stat sheet stuffer. Don't mind him. Prefer him to Miller, Bridges, etc. So main standout here is definitely Nick Richards for me. Moving on to Houston. Bigs against the Hornets. One of my favorite players in the league, Alfred Sengun. One of my favorite plays on the slate at 8.6K. I love Sengun here, and I think Fred VanVleet is really good as well at 7.4K. I really like both those two guys. Jalen Green, of course, is playable. Jabari, not as excited about at that price point. I don't really like much else. They have a lot of guys here that are really, really solid off the bench, like, Tari, these type guys. So mainly just, I really like Sengun. I think Fred's really good. If you want to play like some Jalen Green, I think that's okay. Those are my main interests here for Houston. On to Chicago, another one team I don't love here. I think the price points are about right. I think Vooch at 8.3 I have some interest there, but I'd rather play Sengun for a similar price point. Not going to play Io at 5.4. Lonzo is going to be on a limit. Paul is overpriced. Josh Giddey, I think, is overpriced. Zach LaVine, so yeah, really not much here for Chicago that I'm liking. And then we move on to the Pelicans. So I'm fully expecting DeJounte Murray to play. Zion Williamson is questionable. So if he's out, that's going to be a bump. I would like DeJounte Murray quite a bit if Zion is out. And then Ingram, CJ, they get a bump as well. We're going to have to see what the starting lineup is. Do they start Herb Jones at the 5? I think they're going to do that. If he starts at the 5, he's fine, but still priced right. Anyone else I'm liking here? Not really. I think it's mainly just DeJounte Murray if Zion's out. I think that's the main interest. Maybe they start like a Daniel Tice. Maybe if he starts at the 5, he will be a good value. That's mainly it. So yeah, let's move on to Memphis and another team I like here quite a bit. Some players here. So no Jaren. You should see Santi Aldama moving in the starting lineup. I think he's a really good value at 5K. Good point per minute. Jake LaRavia should see decent minutes off the bench. I think he's a sneaky play tomorrow. They don't think a ton of people are going to play. I like him in large field GPPs. I think Brandon Clark, he should get some backup 5. I think he's a really good value. Only problem is he's center only. John Morant, I really like at 9.5K. Desmond Bane's playable. Eddie, I'm not entirely sure how many minutes he's played. Whole play here, my guess is around 25, which does make him a solid option. And then, yeah, really like Santi. I'm not too excited about Marcus Smart at that price point. And yeah, definitely like some Memphis tomorrow. Then we move on to Utah. So I do think marketing at 7.5 is a little bit too cheap here. I would expect mid-30s minutes. Their go-to guy, good rebounder. So don't mind some marketing in there. Keontae George, expecting him to have a big leap. I wished he was a little bit cheaper. If he was a little bit cheaper, I would have really liked him, but I think 6.6 is probably where he should be. Walker Kessler should start. I believe John Collins should come off the bench. If that's the case, you can go to like a Walker Kessler. And then I like Sexton quite a bit at 6.1K as well. I don't think I'm getting too much else there. Main standout for me is Markkanen and Sexton. Moving on to Phoenix. Not much here I love. I think KD at 8.6 is a little bit too cheap. I think Booker's priced right. I think Tyus Jones at 5.5 is a little bit intriguing to me. Stat sheet stuffer, with him starting at the point, it's going to take a lot of ball handling duties away from like Bradley Beal, Devin Booker. So their floors are going to be a lot lower than they should usually are. Apologies. So yeah, I think my favorite play is KD or Tyus, I suppose, but not really liking too much else here. Another team I'm really high on. I love James Harden. No Kawhi Leonard, no Paul George, obviously. He should dominate here. Stat sheet stuffer. He should chuck. His scoring should go way up. I love James Harden here. I think Zubac is a really good play. Just look at who they have behind him. They have nobody behind him. He should play all the minutes he can handle. I really like Zubac. I also really like Norman Powell too. He should be the number 2 on offense. We know he's a good point per minute guy. He should play big minutes. So these top 3 guys, I'm very, very high on. Kevin Porter Jr., I think he's going to have a good role off the bench. I don't mind him as well. So, yeah, definitely like some clips tomorrow. Then we go to the last game of the night, guys. Whereas Steph Curry is fully expect him to play. Who do they start here? They could start Trace Jackson Davis. If you want to play for TJD starting and get some like late swaps for later, I think that could be intriguing because if he starts, I like him quite a bit. I don't know if Steve Kerr wants to play Draymond at the 5. So keep an eye on that. But like if Trace starts at the 5, I like him. If Draymond starts at the 5, I like him. So keep an eye on that. Wiggins at 5'8", they want him to be the number 2 on offense here. I think he's sneaky. He could be okay. Don't love much else here. Moving on to Portland, don't like anything. I think Scoot's okay. Denny's priced right. Jeremy Grant, not loving much here. So yeah, it's a quick breakdown of the 10-game slate, guys. I hope you guys had a great night, and I will see y'all in the next video. And sorry about the audio. I will get that fixed.